Hi everyone, it's Mark here. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network, and I like to use these recording sessions to keep tabs on how many people we have in our gang. And we're just over 80,000 across our 4 LinkedIn groups on the 28th of September, which is great. One of our members said we're going like a Boeing, which I loved. I've used it, which is brilliant. But this is the best part of the job for me. It's where I get to meet our full members. And I'm delighted that Rossie has joined me for a quick interview and a bit of a quiz. Rossie, thank you so much for joining me from Bristol.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You've cheated, haven't you? You've looked at some previous recordings to find out what questions I might be asking you, which is very smart.
Yes, I have. Not many, but a few, just to check I'm not suddenly going to be blindsided by something.
Now, we had a fascinating chat about how you describe yourself, didn't we? And am I right in saying that it would be okay to describe you as an oceanic artist?
Yes.
There we go. I love that. Because having seen some of your wonderful work, there's that running, literally a stream running through your work, isn't it? So tell me a little bit more about how you found yourself. I mean, Bristol, of course, is a seafaring city of fame. Yes. But it's lovely that you've got that sort of golden thread running through all of the work that you do, that it's inspired by oceans and seas and rivers. And how did that come about?
I think I've always had an affinity to the ocean. I think I grew up going, as most people do, going to the coast for holidays and things, and just got so much life from it. And when I was at school, you couldn't really paint sort of abstract or ocean. You had to sort of paint what was in front of you. And so I was sort of, thinking, oh dear, I'm not very good at this. But as an adult painting, the more I paint, the more I found myself painting the ocean, painting water, painting fluid. The way I paint is with acrylic and silicone oil, and I pour it and then I tilt the canvas and use palette knives to move and kind of create with the paint. And there's just something that just really captures me about the ocean. Its depth and its wonder and its mystery, and it's just that there are so many tiny elements that all work together in this beautiful, cohesive, amazing creation. And I can't not paint it. So it is my muse.
Yeah, I love that. Yes, I think there are I love living. I live near a river now, and I've always wanted to. I was brought up near Southend-on-Sea, which is at the mouth of the Thames estuary. And then I moved and lived in Barnes and Fulham and Hammersmith, and so I've always been. I've loved living sort of within a walk of the water, and now we're very close to the River Crouch here in Holbridge. I've been chatting up all the neighbours who've got boats on their drive. Because they say if it floats you should rent it, and that's true. But no, the work is lovely, and there's that love. The wonderful thing I imagine about the ocean is that it accommodates abstract really well.
Very much.
It's such a moving, changing, powerful, vast thing that it's perfect for that. So we'll have a quick. I'll pull up to your website and we'll show people around. So I'll do that first because I think that would be lovely to do. So if you don't mind, I'll share this screen.
Yeah.
Have I shared the right screen?
You have.
There you are. There we go. Someone was making you laugh during that photo session.
Yeah.
It looks great. Do you want to give us a bit of a tour about, shall I go to the gallery?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about, why is that not coming? Come on.
It should.
It should. There we go. So it's I mean, you're immediately drawn in, and what I found myself doing, and I was just looking at your work, was trying to spot things that look like things in the work, which is often great fun. So where would you have? Where's your studio? Is it at home, or do you have a
Yeah,
separate studio?
our studio is, or my studio is our spare room.
Right,
So it's easier having little kids around. It's easier to have a space that's in the room that I can paint if they're napping or at school or whatever. So
brilliant.
yeah.
And how recent would these be then?
I've always painted, but I started painting more intentionally last year. So I haven't actually called myself an artist probably until the beginning of this year. So all of the things that you see will be 2022 and 2023.
Right,
And yeah, and they're not all square, but I can't, my website's, in process.
right.
And so yeah, that's kind of just thumbnails of them. But yeah, I tend to paint how the ocean feels to me rather than go to the coast and paint a picture of a certain bay or a certain beach or a certain part. It's more kind of emotive than that.
Yeah, I mean,
Hence why they look so different.
it's so clever what you've done, because this is clearly it's obvious the tech that, to a certain extent, it's obvious the technique that you used, and anyone familiar with pouring and
Mm.
blowing will get that. But what you've been able to do, especially in these two, is it's clearly, that is clearly a beach with some wonderful waves lapping up to it. Well, it is in my eyes. It might not be in somebody else's, and this one is clearly a kind of horizon shot. And whilst these are not necessarily the literally the colors you might see in those circumstances, that it's clear what you're trying to
Mm.
do there, because, and they're perfectly acceptable in that you don't need to be, it's not jarring in any way, but it's not a conventional seascape,
Yes.
which I love. These are great. I mean, it's so clever, and there's lots here. So wherever this appears, we'll include a link to your site, which is at rossiehb.art.
Yep.
So people can have a look. So do please have a browse. That looks great. And apart, so is the website the main place for people to find and acquire your work?
Yes, the website, or I do most of my social media stuff on Instagram, and my name is the same. rossiehb.art is my Instagram username.
Right.
Um, so yeah, so I would post, I have videos on there of me doing doing the paint pouring and the process and then finished work and
Oh,
things like that. So
that's great. And if those are available, are they available on YouTube as well? Perhaps some of
do you
those.
know they're not. It's I've been toying with the idea. When I speak to different people, they say you must be on Pinterest, you must be on Facebook, you must be on YouTube, you must be on TikTok, and I get a bit social media fatigue. So I haven't actually embarked on YouTube yet, but maybe that's another one that I need to add to the list.
Yeah, I hear you. When I'm doing branding and marketing workshops and consulting, I have this concept of minimalist marketing. Start with one channel basically, and master that one, and only then take the learnings to the next one. But what we'll do then, in the profile that we'll create about you on the website, we'll add links to the Instagram's accounts,
Thank
so that people can have a look. But that's great. Thank you for that intro. I think what we'll do now is the fun bit. We'll do the arts and culture hot top 10. So for
Okay.
anyone who listens to Radio 4, as I do, it's rather like Desert Island Discs with a twist, really. So so I'm going to ask you just to get a sense of a kind of slightly deeper sense of where your inspiration comes from, if that's okay.
Mhm. Yeah,
Are
very
you
much.
ready?
Yes.
Right. So the first question is, do you have a favorite building? And if so, why?
Do I have a favorite building? I don't really. I love the buildings that most inspire me, I think, are buildings like cathedrals. You go in with the high ceilings and the beauty and the stained glass and the sort of sense of awe that you get. So I don't have one particular one, but that sort of style of building, I think, is incredible.
Nice. Have you read Pillars of the Earth, the book
I
Pillars of the
haven't.
Earth?
No,
Do
I
please.
haven't.
I think it's Ken Follett.
Okay.
It's a wonderful romp through medieval cathedral building, and it can
All
take
right.
70 years to build a cathedral.
Yes.
It's an incredible story. But I'm not a religious person, but the architecture and the music that comes out of religion
Yes.
is for me the best part of it.
Mm.
Somebody also chose Durham Cathedral on one of these chats because apparently it has the largest single pane glass window in the world in it.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, that's worth a look.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what those craftsmen and women were able to do hundreds of years ago.
Especially with the limited technology compared to what we have now, it's just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also something I saw recently, which was I thought was lovely. I think it's a cathedral in France, but outside somebody's made a tiny replica of it in 3D in brass, so that blind people can feel their way around
Oh,
the
wow. That's
cathedral.
incredible.
Yeah, it's just wonderful. Excellent. Yes, you can have any cathedral you like. There we go. Or a lighthouse even if you want.
Yeah.
That would be appropriate, wouldn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, that's great. So you've got a cathedral. What about a favorite book or a book you reread?
Ooh, which
By the
books were
way, you can throw this back at me if you don't have a particular favorite in any of these forms.
That's right. I don't know, favorite books. I love Brandon Sanderson books. I love Anthony Ryan books. I love fantasy where you sort of go into a whole different world. So like Tolkien and all of that kind of yeah, where there's, you meet someone and they're an ordinary person, but actually there's hidden depth and there's hidden powers and there's, all of these kind of triumph over evil, big kind of, yeah, just big races and just, yeah, all of that sort of stuff I love. So at the moment I'm reading a trilogy by Anthony Ryan called, I think it's called Waking Fire, which is really good. And his Raven Shadow series is really good. But yes, I love all sorts of that kind of thing. Stephen King is always a good one as well if you just want to dive into the sort of
Mm.
horror side of stuff, which is quite fun at times. But yeah, I'd say that's that sort of genre. So yeah, Brandon Sanderson is always an amazing an amazing writer, and he's so detailed in his, yeah, in his worlds and in his character development, and you can sort of feel like you're there with them, which I love.
That's brilliant. I'm scribbling down here because my cultural education comes
Yeah, as I
from
say, I don't
English.
know if they're ones that anyone would have heard of unless they like
No,
fantasy.
I've made a note. Have you read the Thomas Covenant Chronicles?
No, I don't think I have.
I can't remember the name of the author, but that is the suddenly I'm in another world kind of story. There's a series of them. They're really, really good. Thomas Covenant is I think it's called The Unbeliever, the book. But the main character is this Thomas Covenant who keeps finding himself in this parallel universe, and it's really, really good.
Nice. My brother and sister-in-law have just bought me book one of The Wheel of Time, and there are 15 books in the series. So I'm sort of going, right, well, I'll do book one and we'll see how we go. But that's all kind of well-known fantasy. I think it's been made into a series on Amazon as well. But yeah, so we'll see how
Oh,
that
that
goes.
sounds, yeah. I tend to listen to books more than read them now on Audible. Yeah. So even on holidays, it's just a headphones on, listen away.
Yes.
It's interesting you mentioned Stephen King. I met him once.
Oh wow.
I still do actually, but I collect signed photos, and so does he, seemingly, because I was the only person in this store in the Strand in London where they were dealers, and I walked in. There was only one other person in the store, and it was him.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was desperate to look over his shoulder and see what he was buying,
Yes.
but no, that was interesting.
Oh,
Excellent. So yes, you can have a cathedral, and you can have one of those books. I think I've reread Lord of the Rings every year for the last 20 years.
wow.
My brother did a gift for me. My brother's a cellist, and he was in the London Philharmonic Orchestra when they were recording the soundtracks for the movies.
Gosh.
And Howard Shaw came in, the composer, and sat with Peter Jackson as they were recording some of the music. But he brought with him the Oscar, and that they had won. And my brother, this was, I don't think this was pre-digital, really. It was certainly before phones had cameras. So he took a picture of Peter Jackson sitting with Howard Shaw in the mixing booth in the studio at Abbey Road, and they were holding the Oscar. And he, in his lunch break, he ran down to Snappy Snaps and got it printed, brought it back, and they both signed it. So I have
Oh, wow.
and it's a unique photograph because nobody else
Yeah.
has it. So I'm happy with that. But I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. We did Trilogy Tuesday. I used to run a web design agency, and we were all a bit skateboarding fantasy fans. And on the Tuesday on which it was possible to watch the third movie for the first time in Leicester Square, that everyone came round we took the day off, closed the office, everyone came round to mine for breakfast, and we watched the first movie. Then we went out for lunch, came back and watched the second movie.
Nice.
And then we all jumped on the train to London and watched the last movie that evening on the first day it was possible to do.
Oh, wow.
It was great. Trilogy
Yeah.
Tuesday, it was called. Anyway, I digress, which often happens when we're doing this. This always produces anecdotes and surprises, so
Yeah.
I love doing this. It wouldn't do if we didn't have this as the framework for it. Now, this one's quite a tricky one, and you might have seen it before on previous interviews, but I'd like you to assume that you've been exiled from the United Kingdom for some unknown misdemeanor, and you're allowed to choose which country you're going to live in based on your perception of its culture. Where are you going?
Oh, Australia. So that's easy. I used to live in Australia, and yeah, their culture is diverse and relaxed and friendly and steeped in history with the indigenous people, and and its beauty. And yeah, I would definitely go to Australia.
Nice. I like that. We've had
That's,
lots
yeah.
of different places,
Yeah.
as you can imagine, in that one. That's great. So yes, you can do that. Now, as a participant or a spectator, do you have a favorite sport?
Is dancing a sport? I don't know. Swimming, I
Well,
suppose. Dancing or swimming are my two sort of.
okay. What dancing do you do?
Well, I don't currently do it, but I have been in contemporary dance things, but obviously not professional standard. Leave that for my sister. But yes, no, yeah, I love contemporary dance and kind of free flow stuff. So
Nice.
yes,
My wife
yeah.
and I had salsa lessons for a time.
Oh, lovely.
We used to, and love it, still do. We don't have lessons at the moment, but we used to we were both working in London, and I think on Wednesday evenings there was a salsa club in Moorgate near Liverpool Street Station, and there was this chap who would be there all the time. It was thronged, it was packed, and there was this guy who, without meaning any offence, looked more like Jack Black than he did Brad Pitt. Okay, and if you can picture the scene, almost as wide as he was tall, but he had a cue, because at those events you dance with anyone, you're encouraged to dance with as many different people as possible, and he was the most incredible dancer, but not because of how he moved, but how he made his dance partner look, move, and feel. and he had this almost a queue of statuesque, beautiful women queuing up to dance with him.
Nice.
It was great.
Lucky fella. Yeah.
Lucky, very lucky fella. So there you go. Another digression. Sorry about that. Okay, so yes, you can have swimming and dancing. Absolutely, I think so. So now this one's a little bit cruel. I'm going to limit you to one musical genre for the rest of your life.
Yes, I've been thinking about this. I suppose it would need to be something like soft rock. So
Okay,
I love bands like Matchbox 20 and Muse and Foo Fighters and Stereophonic. So it's kind of indie rock, kind of, yeah. It'd have to be something with a beat in it.
love it.
Yeah. So I think if I had to choose one thing, I have to say though, my one of my guilty pleasures, because I'm exactly the right age for it, is, though I say that and they wouldn't be in this category, my favorite band will always be Take That. So,
Really?
and they're not rock, but I was at that ideal age where it just, you know, they were my band.
Oh, I have a
So,
Gary Barlow story.
ooh,
A friend of mine, we were at music college together, but he stopped doing music shortly after we left music college because he had a passion for building luxury tree houses.
as you
Um,
do.
as you do, yes. And he stood up at a networking event and said, "I'd like an introduction to Richard Branson," and everyone laughed. Until somebody else at the event stood up and said, "Paul, my cousin is his PA." And 6 months later, he was on Necker Island building luxury tree houses for Richard Branson.
Wow.
The phone rang about 3 months later, and the voice at the other end of the phone said, "Hello, is that Paul Cameron?" He said, "Yes. Hi, Paul, it's Elton John." And he thought, which of my friends is doing this?
Yes, absolutely.
It was Elton John. He'd been on Necker Island and he'd seen the tree houses, and so Paul then built. It was shortly after Elton John had his boys, I think, and
Mm.
and so he built those, and then a little bit later the phone rang again, and it was Gary Barlow, and he'd been at
Wow.
Elton John's house. So Paul got to do Richard Branson, Elton John, and Gary Barlow just for standing up at a networking event and saying, "This is what
Yes.
I'd like to meet."
Gosh, maybe I need to come to that networking event in tomorrow.
Yeah, or there's plenty online, so
Mm.
you wouldn't have to travel, but please do, because I can give you a shout out and we can show some of the work, which would be great. Actually, the next one is on the 5th of October. This will be useless to anybody who watches this in a year's time. 5th of October 23, we're doing creativity versus artificial intelligence, which will be,
Oh, fascinating.
yeah. So, okay, so have you come across yacht rock? Have you heard that phrase?
Yeah.
It's kind of appropriate for your oceanic
Mm,
music
yeah.
there. Look, have a look on Spotify for some yacht rock. It's not dissimilar from the genre you've described. I'd never heard of it until recently, but yeah, yacht as in boat, yacht rock.
Mm.
It's more sort of Eagles and Supertramp, I think, than Muse and Foo Fighters, but you might enjoy that.
Mm.
Okay, so do you have a favorite visual artist?
No, not really, if I'm honest. I I I mean, artists like Rothko, he's amazing. I'm I'm not I'm not very good with names, and I tend to look at paintings as to that makes me feel this and that makes me feel that, rather than I like that, kind of that sort of thing. And there are people that I follow on Instagram that I watch them do their amazing work, but there are, I mean, Turner was amazing with all of his
Mm,
seascapes and things, but then I don't tend to put people in my paintings because I feel somehow that takes away from them. Obviously, it doesn't take away from Turner's work. He was amazing, but just, it's yeah. But then saying that, my all-time favorite painting is The Lady of Shalott. So,
Ooh.
which is a woman in a boat, is the kind of main thing. But it's so atmospheric and emotive, and it has such a mysterious story behind it. You just kind of, I remember as a girl seeing it. I can't even remember which gallery it's in, but seeing it and just standing there for ages, just kind of soaking it in. And what is this woman thinking, and who is she, and why is she on this boat, and where is she going, and just the way that pre-Raphaelite paintings are painted is just, yeah, there's so. But yes, I don't particularly have one artist that I'd say that one
Mm.
really.
Am I right that the pre-Raphaelites used to paint the canvases white first, brilliant, brilliant white, so that it all
Yes,
grew.
that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, you can have the Lady of Shalott. That's great. So, and what about a favorite play or musical?
Phantom of the Opera. It's got to be, just because of I always love the things that have both beauty and creepiness in them. So Phantom of the Opera is very much like that to me, and you can. It's the sort of thing, I've seen it a few times on stage, and it that you're watching actors, and that there's not, that it's all fine, but there's still, your heart still jumps at certain times, and you still get completely drawn into the fantasy. And just, yeah, yeah, I love the whole love and creepiness. I don't know what that
Love
says about
that.
it, but I do.
I've got a
My
treat for
favorite.
you. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, no.
I, I was
What?
just going to
Go
say,
on.
my favorite film is The Village, which is also a beautiful romantic story about true love, and also very creepy. So
Oh,
it's an M. Night Shyamalan film. He's my favorite um, film producer, director, writer.
mm,
And yes, and I there's something about, yeah, kind of true love, but also kind of eeriness, creepiness.
mm,
Don't know.
nice. I love that. I've got a treat for you. I'll send you the link, but I'm so tempted to play it now. But have you heard of Floor Jansen?
That
Um,
rings a bell,
yeah,
but
she's a singer, um, kind of a bit of a goth progressive rock singer.
right.
But she does a version of um, the main song from Phantom, and they've turned it into a rock track.
Oh
Um,
wow.
I'm going to put I'll put yeah. So if you wanted to search for it, it's Floor Jansen, Floorjansen, and she does a duet with Henk Poort, and it's on some Dutch TV thing. But it's incredible. It's staggering. Anyway, there we go. There's one. I'll put the video. I'll embed the video in when we do your profile. There we go.
Okay.
Let me make a note. There we go. It's incredible. Then you'll see it there. Excellent. And you've done the film as well, which is great.
Right.
Now, apart from me, who was the last person to make you laugh?
My son this morning. I think he's nearly 4, and the things that he comes out with, and how fussy he is about what he wears and what he eats. And I can't remember what he said this morning, but my kids have got like a little dinosaur tower puzzle thing, where you sort of have a rocking base, and then you have to pile these little like wooden dinosaurs on top. And yeah, my son and my oldest daughter were doing that this morning, and she is very much a perfectionist. She likes to finish things, she likes to achieve things, so she finally gets it all done. And then in that moment you can see the smile comes on Zeph's face, my son, and then he just pushes it over, and just there sort of acted together. So yeah, this morning my kids, never a
Love
dull
that.
moment.
When my daughter was much younger, there was one Sunday morning where she jumped into bed and we were just lying on our back staring at the white ceiling, and she said, "Can we play I Spy?" I thought, really?
Gonna be a quick thing.
Yeah, I said, well, we'll give it a try, but it's not going to be easy. She said, I'll go first. And she said, "I spy with my little eye something beginning with U, as in the letter U." And I thought, you're kidding me, right? I mean, all we could see was the bedroom ceiling, and I gave up in the end. And she said, "Us, silly."
Oh,
So that was fun. But it's funny, isn't it, that the way they think differently. There's a lovely Buddhist philosophy called Shoshan, Shoshin, which is it's to approach a subject with the mind of a child, because that's the way they think.
yeah.
And there is that the sort of premise behind it is that if you do that, many more options become open to you, because you're not relying on preconceptions or and ironically, and this works particularly well with my wife Jo. She's a Microsoft Excel expert, and if she's got a problem with Excel, which by the way I know nothing about, she'll ask me if I'll go and sit with her and try and help her find the solution. And it's not because I know the answer, it's because she has to describe the problem in such simple terms to me, that during the course of that she sees the answer herself. It's fascinating when that works. So that was wonderful. Thank you very much, Rossie. We're going to play another little one now. It's the this or that game, and you can only have one or the other, and there's no wrong answers. So are you ready?
Yes.
This was inspired actually by a TV show. When I was a child, they'd get a celebrity to be in front of a camera, and the computer voice would give them two options, and they had to choose one or the other. I think I remember David Beckham doing it, when he was, so it's kind of inspired by that. So, and if you did watch a previous episode of this, then they've changed. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Radio or television?
Television.
Heels or trainers?
Or heels.
Car or motorcycle?
Oh, I'd like to say motorcycle, but car.
Comedy or horror?
Oh, that's difficult. Comedy.
Concert hall or sports stadium?
Oh, concert hall, definitely.
Cat or dog?
Cat. Can't stand dogs.
Test the water or dive in the deep end?
Dive in the deep end.
Bits or no bits in your orange juice?
Oh, bits. Makes it feel more authentic somehow.
Library or museum?
Oh, museum.
Shower or bath?
Shower.
Beethoven or Mozart?
Mozart.
Be embarrassed or be afraid?
I'd rather be neither. Well, I think I'd rather be embarrassed than afraid, because I don't embarrass easily.
There we go. Cooking or being cooked for?
Oh, being cooked for, definitely. My husband's a great cook.
Fiction or non-fiction?
Fiction.
Shopping online or in store?
Online.
Reggae or salsa?
Oh, salsa.
Indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors, by the ocean.
There we go. Beach or mountain?
Beach.
Android or iPhone?
Android. I don't own any Apple stuff at all.
Oh, and you being so creative.
I know.
I'm
also, I think, a bit stuck in my ways, and so I've always had PCs and Androids.
Oh, I was offered a consulting gig not recently, a few years ago, and they insisted on me using a PC laptop. I turned it down.
Oh, wow.
It's like wading through treacle in comparison for me. But if you've never made the leap, then you don't know.
Yes, I've never tried. Maybe I should. I'm very much in need of a new laptop, so maybe I should. invest in a Mac rather than a.
Go and have a look at a MacBook Pro. Nice MacBook Pro. There, yeah. I couldn't go back. Start immediately or wait till the last minute?
Oh, start immediately.
You and I are so different. Science or history?
History.
New York or Los Angeles?
New York.
Circle or square?
Circle.
Nature abhors a straight line, as they say.
Yeah.
Early bird or late night?
Free children, definitely late night. In fact, no, still with the kids, late night. I'd always rather have a late night and then get up later.
Messy or tidy desk?
Messy. I'd like it to be tidy, but it's not going to
happen. Red or white wine?
Red.
Numbers or words?
Oh, words.
Rare or well done?
Medium. Though I'd rather have it well done than have it bleeding. So well done. Black.
Mild or spicy?
Mild.
Opera or chamber music?
Chamber.
Whiskey or rum?
Rum.
That's really appropriate.
Yes. Yes.
Gold or silver?
Silver.
Football or rugby?
Neither. Football, I suppose.
Oh. Sweet or savoury snacks?
Savoury.
Travelling or staying at home?
Travelling.
And now we're going to do that's great. Thank you for that. There's some surprises in every time I do this.
Yeah.
I love it.
Didn't know if you wanted me to elaborate on any of them, but just
we can do now actually, because these are going to stray into a bit more arty. So abstract or realistic?
Oh, abstract all the way.
Clearly.
But then I am an abstract artist, yes. So I would say that.
Photography or painting?
Painting.
Sculpture or ceramics?
Oh, that depends on the context. Like, what would I rather have in my home? I collect like individual pottery mugs wherever I go to a pottery always. So all of my mugs are totally mismatched, but all of them are handmade, which I love.
I love
so
that.
I suppose ceramics.
Yeah. Contemporary or classical art?
Contemporary.
Impressionism or cubism?
Impressionism.
Matisse or Kandinsky?
Kandinsky.
Black and white or colour photography?
Oh, that depends on the subject. I love the atmosphere of black and white.
The Ansel Adams landscapes, for example. Amazing. Street art or gallery art?
Gallery.
Now a bit of performing arts for you. These are new, actually. I'm loving these. Ballet, classical ballet or contemporary dance?
Oh, contemporary. Or mix match and do Matthew Bourne, and then you've kind of got a bit of both.
Oh, yes. Shakespeare or Chekhov?
Shakespeare.
Jazz or classical music?
Jazz.
Film or live theatre?
Oh. Film.
Stand-up comedy or improv?
Stand-up.
Acoustic or electric music?
Electric.
Drama or comedy?
Drama.
Poetry or prose?
Poetry.
Jane Austen or Charles Dickens?
Charles Dickens. Jane Austen's a bit too girly for me.
Hemingway or Fitzgerald?
Hemingway.
Remind me to tell you the story I have about Hemingway. Actually, we'll do that as our digression now. You may have heard this, but I understand it was Hemingway, but he was challenged to write a novel using only 6 words that could make you cry.
Wow.
And this is what he came up with: for sale, baby's shoes, never worn.
Oh,
Incredible, isn't it? That's
yeah.
properly clever. Science fiction or fantasy?
Oh, they're kind of the same thing to me. Science fiction, fantasy. Yeah, kind of fantasy. Yeah.
Mystery or romance novels?
Mystery.
Graphic novels or traditional literature?
Traditional literature.
Short stories or complete novels?
Complete novels. I like to dive in, get into the depth of stuff.
I once started reading a book backwards. I'll tell you about that in a moment. Writing or reading?
Oh, some of these are tricky. Reading.
That's brilliant. Yes, I was reading Ulysses, which doesn't have any punctuation in it, as far as I could work out.
Oh, wow.
So I got into the book, and then I'd sort of pick it up before I went to sleep, and sort of realized that I had to go back about 4 pages to remind myself where I was. And then I would read 2 pages and put it down.
Definitely been there most evenings. Yeah.
And the next night I'd pick it up again, and now I'm down 2 pages behind where I was. And I'd go back 4 again to try and work it out and read 2 pages. So I gradually found myself reading the book back towards the beginning, which was ridiculous. That was great, Rossie. Thank you so much. These are lovely little eye-openers. I mean, it's for the benefit of the people who haven't had the pleasure of as I have now, of meeting you. When they watch this, they'll feel as though that they've got to know what makes you tick a bit. So it's really kind of you to do that. Wherever this appears, there'll be links to you and the website and the work, and we'll embed some of the videos from Instagram as well if we can. So
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this. I'll promote this quarterly when it's published, and we'll re-record every year so you can update everyone on what's going on. But I hope that was fun. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been great.